Hey folks, Gary here with Paramount Tactical Solutions. So big day today. First of all, we got my lovely wife and my boss here. Hey, look, this is a video I've been wanting to make for a long time. We're going to keep things light today and have some fun with it. I've been wanting to do an update video on the Accu-Tacs for a while because they've come out with a bunch of different new models, and even on some of the older models, they made some improvements. So I've been wanting to make this video for a little bit to make sure that you guys are informed, you know exactly what you're getting into, and you're aware of the different offerings, so you can just make the best decisions possible for you. We get questions all the time, and with all the new models that had come out, to be honest with you, right before this video started, I went through some of the new models that I haven't even really looked at, so it was good to kind of go through those. But I want to make sure that you're aware of the new models, the new features, and all the other good stuff. The first thing I want to get into is just kind of the basic features that you're going to see on most of these. And if you haven't checked out my kind of bipod comparison, definitely go check out that. I actually have a couple different videos that compare some of the different bipods out there. And ultimately, through those comparisons, we determined that, you know, Accu-Tac was the bipod that we wanted to carry. And again, I think as we go through some of these features, you'll see exactly why. And I highlight that in some of the other videos as well. But some of the common features that you're going to see with Accu-Tac is their quick deploying legs. All right, so that is something that you'll see with all of these. Again, they deploy very easily, one-handed, which is another feature that I really like about these, unlike some of the other ones out there. They redeploy just by pressing the button. All of these will have cant built in, right? So you have adjustable cant. So we can actually just loosen this toggle back here, and we can actually adjust that left and right, just like that. The other thing, on some of these models, they actually allow for pan. This is an FC4. We're going to talk about this one a little bit later. But you can adjust that as well, as far as how much tension you want on that and basically the resistance overall. You can put a little bit, or you can lock that thing down. The other thing that's kind of new is the way that these lock onto the rails themselves, whether we're talking about ARCA or the QD mounts for the Picatinny. All of these bipods are available in ARCA Spec, which they call them for the ARCA compatible rails, or the Picatinny QD rails. But they have this toggle, which I really like. It just locks down. It used to have a crank, kind of one of these toggle, that twist. I like this throw lever much better. It's definitely easier and a lot less hassle, without a doubt. On the far side of that is your tension screw. So you can tighten this up and get as much tension as you want on that particular rail. So it's adjustable, if you will.
And folks, these are the basic features on most of the models of the Accu-Tacs, other than the pan and cant that are optional in some of the models.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, folks, you know, Summer does all the ordering. So when it comes to the actual models and things like that, she has a lot more subject matter expertise on that than necessarily I do. She stays up with the new models that are coming out. So if you call us, you're going to talk to one of us. Most of the time, you're going to talk to her. If you need to talk to me, I'm usually available too. But again, when it comes to the exact model that you're looking for and the overall features, she's all over it. There's no doubt about that. All right, so the first one I want to go over specifically is the SR5 Gen 2. This was actually the old SR5 QD that went on the Picatinny rail. That was the one that I originally purchased and just fell in love with these bipods overall. One of my very first YouTube videos ever, several years ago, I just kind of talked about it. All you saw was my hands. It was like a mime. Anyways, a long time ago, right?
We've come a long way.
We've come a long way with the old YouTubers. I also want to say I'm going to leave chapter markers down below so you can kind of jump between the different models or go back and compare different models. Also, we'll throw up the specs of these. And also, you can always go to our website, ParamountTactical.com, and check out what we have in stock. Those stock numbers are up to date. So again, if it says it's in stock, it should be in stock 99.9% of the time. All right, so let's talk about the SR5. This was kind of like your, I don't know, I won't say your basic bipod, but their most general offering of what we would see as a normal bipod. What I have always loved about the Accu-Tacs is just, folks, they're overbuilt. They're so rigid. There is no flex in this, which is huge. When you're shooting multiple strings of fire, multiple targets at multiple distances, the last thing you want is that rebounding effect, which you get in a lot of different bipods, and I covered in depth about that in my last video. These are 100% American made here in the United States. They have a limited lifetime warranty on that. Folks, we've sold hundreds of these, and I've yet to have anybody call us and say they broke their bipod. I've actually had clients call me up and say, hey, you know, can I shoot 50 cal? Folks, you can shoot 50 cal on any of these bipods. They do make one that is specific to 50 cal, that it's even beefier. If you want to use that, and you know, you can use that, but I can tell you right now, you can shoot 50 cal off of any of these bipods. They're some of the best built bipods that I've ever seen. This is going to be a very good bipod for most applications. It's kind of, there again, it's kind of the general all-purpose bipod. You can see the versatility that you get out of this. The legs are extremely long, and there again, you can cant these at many different angles. You can have those bipod legs go forward, and you can have those bipod legs go back. The SR5 does allow for cant, right? So we can cant that gun left to right, and there again, you have a tension knob back here that allows us to control how easy that is. So really good there.
And this one has 4 leg positions that you can put that in.
As far as the angle of that leg. What is available for all these bipods as well is several different feet attachment. You can go with the spike claw. They have like a ski attachment. You can also get leg extensions. They have 10-inch leg extensions. So if you're shooting from, you know, a kneeling position or something like that, you can get a 10-inch leg extension for any of these bipods that we're going to feature today. So hopefully that answers that. Any questions? If you do, leave them down in the comments, because this isn't live. We can't do that. All right, next one. All right, so the next model that we're going to cover is the BR4. This is very similar in form and function as the SR5. It's just smaller. BR stands for bench rest, and that's exactly what this looks like. It's kind of a shorter bipod, which most bench rest shooters use. That being said, it can be used on many different guns, obviously. There again, we have that the legs do extend out, quick retract. We do have cant built into it back here. We can adjust that, the tension on that. So very similar to the SR5, just a shorter version of it. So if you end up needing something that the SR5 looks a little too long for, this may be your option. All right, folks, so this is one of those brand new ones that I hadn't seen before this, but I was actually looking forward to getting my hands on this and really checking it out. This is the PC5, and this is essentially the SR5. I was just looking at the legs and everything else, the exact same. Has 9 different positions as far as leg length. This is basically the SR5 with the ability to pan left and right. So that's really cool. That's one thing. Also, the stance on this, because we have that axis there in the middle, is just going to be a little bit wider. So this is actually a really cool option. And I look forward to actually testing this out on a few guns, because I've always loved the SR5. The only thing that was missing on it was the ability to pan left and right, and this is the answer to that. So that's the PC5. Now, this also comes in a PC4. Several of these models, you'll see they come in a 5 version and a 4 version, and the only thing that's different is that the leg length is slightly smaller on the 4 version. So again, make sure you check out the specs, make sure that you compare those. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason as far as like, it's not like exactly an inch shorter or anything like that. So look at those, but the fact of the matter is it's the same 2 models. The 5 is going to be taller than the 4 version. It's really as simple as that. So the next bipod is also a new model, and this is the WB4. There again, and it does come in a WB5 that's going to be slightly taller. That's wide body. So this obviously offers a very wide stance compared to, for instance, the BR. Now, I was just looking at this. These are the same legs on that, but we have a different centerpiece that creates that kind of wider stance and basically lowers the center of gravity of the rifle. Any of these you'll see on the FC's versions as well. We have that wide stance. It's going to lower that center of gravity as well, as opposed to putting it at the top of the apex. But that's essentially the BR with a wider body. Same leg length. This does come in the 5 version, so there again, we have some, but everything else applies. This only cants left and right? So this does not pan left or right. So just so that you're clear on that. And there again, that is the QD mount. That is for our Picatinny rails. I missed anything? That was amazing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Just FYI, they do call the new Accu-Tac QD too.
So the next two that we're going to cover is the FC4 and the FC5. And I'm going to give you a visual of kind of the difference in leg length. I really thought these were cool when these first came out. I immediately knew I wanted to try one of these out because these were the first models that they offered with this much wider stance, but also panned left and right. So the first model, and I have a full review on just the FC5s. You can go check that out over there as well. I go over all this individual one a lot more in depth. And as soon as I got this in, did the review on it, this was my go-to. I love the fact that we're able to pan left and right. I love how wide this is. This was the first model that they offered that kind of dropped that center of gravity down between the legs. So you're just getting a lot of stability. And of course, the way that these are built, just on that angle, as you extend those legs out, you know, you're just getting a much wider stance. But the thing that I love about these compared to a lot of other bipods out there is as you extend these legs, because everything's just so beefy, you're not losing rigidity, right? You're not getting that flex and that rebound effect that you get with a lot of bipods out there. I love these bipods. These were my favorite. And then they made the FC4. So you can see in comparison, maybe we hold that up. All right, so you can see in the comparison, it's fully extended. This is much wider. When we retract those legs, look at you, you're a pro. All right, when you retract the legs, you see that, again, these are much wider than these. And still, these are way wider than most bipods out there. Now, when I started using this, and I'm going to get this rifle up here to show you. Now, one of the things that I found with the FC5, and this is just for my personal preferences, I guess, if nothing else, the FC5 ends up being just a little bit too tall for most of the rifles that I personally shoot. So my personal favorite has been the FC4. With the FC5, because it does have that longer legs, it's for me, and it could be completely different for every person out there, right? Just the way they build, the way the rifle's set up, the shooting bags you use, all of those things are gonna be variables. But for how I shoot and the rifles and how I have everything set up, the FC4 ends up being just the perfect height, fully, just right out of the box. With the FC5, when it's like this, it's just a little bit too tall when it's in its normal state. So what I end up having to do is I end up having to cant the legs out about like that, and then it's a little too short, so now I'm playing around with the leg length. Now, with that being said, once you figure out your leg length, before you even put the bipod on, you can put it at that cant, you know, hey, I know this is the perfect leg length for me and how I shoot, so you can set it up, throw it on there, and it's not that big of a deal. But I just like the fact that with my rifles, the way that I shoot, the shooting bags that I use, you know, whether I'm shooting in the prone or off of a bench, the FC4 ends up just being the perfect kind of height for me. So I'm just throwing that out there. All of these are great bipods. I still use my FC5 a lot. We have these bipods running on most of our student guns that we have for our long range courses. I do have some other bipods just so students can try them out. The Atlas, I have a couple of the Harris bipods out there as well. And I'm telling you, those two bipods just flex a lot. And it's not a problem if you're shooting one round, but when you're having to shoot multiple rounds or even spotting your own trace or spotting your impacts, the rigidity of these bipods allow you to load that gun up and you don't get that massive recoil that you get with some of the other bipods out there. Not to say they're bad bipods. I'm just telling you when it comes to not making recoil worse because their legs flex so much, these are just as solid as they come, both literally and figuratively, by the way. So I wanted to cover those features as quickly and concisely as possible. Hopefully I accomplished that in this video. Again, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget about the accessories. If you need something longer, they do have those 10-inch extensions. They have many different feet attachments that you can use. Spikes, claws, sleds, skis, paddles, rotor boats. I don't even know what a rotor boat is, but they got them, folks. They got them. That may or may not be true. All right, before I go any further though, go check out our other social media sites. We do a lot of cool things on there as well. We'd love to have you follow us there too. And down below in the description are a discount code that will not only get you discounts on these bipods, but on almost anything on our website. We try to take care of you as a subscriber, as a viewer, and ultimately we want to have you as a client. And we're here to take care of it. And that's why we made this video. I wanted to make this video for a while so that we can go over these features and cover them as many models as possible, as concisely as possible. I'm sure I left some things out. So if you have some questions, leave those down in the comments below. Leave a comment. Make sure you like this video. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. You're going to want to see, and also hit that bell icon so you can see when we get new content like this. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that was informative. And while Guns and Gear is great, what we're really about is training. So make sure you go to ParamountTactical.com. Go check out our upcoming training schedule, folks. We'd love to have you out. We'd love to meet you in person. Tactical carbine courses, handgun courses, medical courses, our long-range courses, all of those are second to none. You'll really enjoy those. And that's, again, this YouTube channel, we're about training. We're going to lure you in with the gear and hopefully get you out there and do some training with us. But until next time, stay armed, stay ready, and we'll talk to you soon. Storm is coming, but